I got all decked out in my Chicago gear. I had just started my Chicago Blackhawks preview, and then the doorbell rings. What might be down there? Two of them. So this completes the Christmas and August segment for hockey jerseys. I haven't ordered any others either. I haven't seen anything online that's really stood out to me for a price that I think is worth it. I didn't even look at which one this one is. I know one of them sent in Canada, one of them sent from the US. The one in Canada is this one. This is the Oilers. So why would I get another Oilers jersey, and why would I get an extra large? Well, an extra large Coho is going to be roughly the same size as your current medium. Seems like jersey sizes are just getting bigger and bigger. But I got it because the stripes are good. The stripes go all the way around, and you got the little oil worker guy on the shoulders. And it's got a little more personality than the other Oilers jerseys that I have. And these are the colors I like. So I greatly apologize to Oilers fans who didn't like the copper and navy, but they looked much better than the current orange and light blue that the team wears. That's just the truth. Now the other jersey. I thought of this too, like this is alphabetically going in order. Like that I had Edmonton and Florida coming in. Oh, this one's in a bag. This one's brand new. I thought this one was used when I ordered it. This is brand new. Tags and all that stuff. And it's a Reebok, so it's a brand new jersey. Oh. Oh, hey. Yay, bags and plastic and crap for the cats to go running through. Man, I love that jersey. That is a thing of beauty right there. And of course the sun and stick on the sleeve. I'm definitely wearing this out today. Definitely. That is a fantastic shirt. It's the same color red as my Blackhawks. Man, that is fantastic. Wow. That is so much better than the other Florida one that I own. I didn't know it was new. I had no idea. I thought this was coming in used. Wow. That is fantastic. And like I said, this is a medium. The other one's an extra large, and they look roughly the same size. It is fun getting hockey jerseys. And so now I have another Florida one, a good Florida one. Another Florida one I've had for over 20 years now. And that Oilers one is added to my Oilers collection, which so now I have 4 Oilers. I think it's 4. I think. This is why I always laugh when people are like, oh, why do you have? Well, I'm a collector. I went out last night, I was wearing my Hartford Whalers one, and somebody asked me, well, how many teams do you cheer for? And I'm like, I have over 70 jerseys. Oh, you're a collector? Yes. Yes, I'm a collector. And then, she started talking to me about ways to display it. I'm like, I've tried, and then she's like, well, if you got a really big, steel bar across the room. And she was kidding, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work unless it's actually like, attached to the studs in the walls on both sides, or else it's going to, the weight's going to pull it down. She's like, you've thought about this? I'm like, of course I have. So it is one of those things. I guess I can get another Rubbermaid container and overflow that. Have more jerseys and more jerseys and more jerseys and more jerseys. I do eventually plan to get rid of some of them. As sacrilegious as that might sound to some, I do eventually plan to take some of the ones that I don't really wear anymore and I don't really care about and just give them away. Yeah, I could sell them on eBay, but I'm not going to do that. because I think I'm better off giving them. I'm not Value Village either. The prices Value Village charges for just no-name jerseys, like senior rec league jerseys with some guy's name on the back of them, and they want $25 for them. And it's like, are you guys insane? That's crazy. So I'm more likely to give them to the Sally Ann or just, some kind of donation that goes to the food bank kind of thing. I I'm really, really proud of my jersey collection, though. It's actually a pretty cool thing to have. It's a good conversation starter. Hi, I have 75 hockey jerseys now. What? Yeah. What do you do with them? Wear them. I wear them. That's what you do. You wear them. I know some people would collect them and then throw them in a frame and put them on a wall, but if I did that, there's no way in hell I'd have enough room for everything. They'd look great. Don't get me wrong, it would look fantastic, but the reality is that it's not gonna work. Um, what else was I gonna mention? Well, I've got my magazines all open to the Blackhawks page. Um, I started a video last night where I was going to go through prospects and talk about prospects for this coming season, but other than the team previews, I'm not geared towards talking about which prospects I think are going to make it or not, or all this kind of stuff. It's close to the season. I'm more geared towards, all right, all these guys have, basically an empty slate, and I'm interested to see which one's gonna emerge as much as anybody else, but I can't say. For instance, when I do the Chicago preview this morning, I'll talk about rookies, I'll talk about young guys, I'll talk about who's stepping forward, who may step back. But in terms of looking over a list, especially now that I got a magazine that has top 25 prospects, and it's like 25. No team has 25 guys that are NHL ready now or ever. Like it's getting to the point of being ridiculous. I think top 10 prospects is good. Top 5 is the cream of the crop. And when you get into 25, it's just basically here's everybody they've drafted over the last 3 years and a couple of journeymen that probably aren't going to make the NHL. So it's an inexact science too. Every year there's usually a guy or two that emerges and becomes a scoring, not star necessarily, but 25, 30 goal scorer that nobody had a clue who he was before the season started. He wasn't on anybody's radar. I think of in Colorado, Merrick Svatos was one of those guys that I was like, I mean, I'd seen him in international competition, and he was considered to be a guy who could come in and play, but I don't think anybody expected a 30-goal season from him. And when it happened, it was like, who the hell is this kid? Where did he come from? I think Milan Hajduk was one that caught people off guard too. Now, having watched him in the Olympics, I loved Hajduk. I thought he was a great player, and then he comes over again as Colorado, and he lights out. Fantastic. And then you have your guys that come over from Europe or the KHL, whether it's Fabian Brunstrom or Roma Cervenka, and or anybody else really. Plotnikov comes over last year, and sometimes they lay an egg, or sometimes they just don't quite fit. They're just not NHL players. So that's why when you look at guys coming in from the NCAA or the KHL, I tend to hold back a little bit because the NCAA guys are more physically mature than your 18-year-old rookie you just drafted. So you may say, "Wow, um, that that junior kid looked good, but man, that kid that was signed out of university, he looked great." Well, yeah, he's also 3 or 4 years older, so he's probably nearing the point where he's as good as he's going to get. Whereas that junior kid could develop into something really, really special with proper development, which is where some teams fall short. Or do teams just draft poorly? That's always the question I ask myself. Like, I've never really done a video where I talk about who has a poor development system because to me, when you look at a team that doesn't develop very good rookies, I see a team that doesn't draft very well. Because in most cases, those guys who they draft and struggle, they'll trade them, and then when they get traded, they don't get any better. I remember when Filatov got traded to Ottawa out of Columbus. Brule got traded to Edmonton out of Columbus. And in both cases, it was, well, now that they're out of Columbus, they can develop properly, and it just didn't happen. So in Columbus's case, they just draft poorly. They draft guys who are highly rated, and they don't necessarily seem to do the extra work, or at least at that time, they didn't do the extra work needed to really flesh out who's actually going to be a good player 5, 10 years down the road. And other teams do. That's why these guys were dropping to them. I mean, I can't totally pick on Columbus because, I mean, Boone Jenner's a pretty darn good player that they found. And they really believe in Dubois, this kid they drafted ahead of Puljujarvi. We'll see if that works out for them or not. But, and they turned Ryan Johansson into Sam Jones or Seth Jones, not Sam Jones. Seth Jones. Seth Jones is what they needed. They needed that, and if he and Ryan Murray can develop together into being star defensemen, then Columbus is set. So that's just an example of why it's hard to just say, well, this team develops poorly or drafts poorly. And Columbus has taken a lot of flack for that over the years, for their development system. But I think Boone Jenner's come along pretty well. I never heard anybody complaining about Rick Nash and his development. So, and Sergei Bobrovsky, when he went to Columbus, his career was basically, kaput. And he took off when he got to Columbus. And then injuries caught up with him, and he's had injury problems since. But still, it's hard to take one franchise, look at it, a magazine, and go, okay, this one sucks or this one's great. Oh, these prospects are going to be great. These ones are going to be bad. So, it's hard for me to put a video together that's going to make a lot of logical sense and not just be me just throwing. I might as well just pull names out of a hat. Rookie of the year is Gretzky. Oh, I got the wrong hat. Like, it's just not going to work. Anyways, I just wanted to capture the moment of me getting those jerseys. That Florida one is fantastic. Sadly, I have to keep the Chicago one on until I've done my Chicago preview for the day. That's coming up in a little while here once I get it videotaped and uploaded. And growth of this channel, now that we're at 1024, the last I looked in terms of subscribers, I'm very proud of that. I'm also very proud of the fact that I started a new channel a few days ago. It's already got 26 subscribers. So I'm bouncing back and forth while I realize that it's hard to grow a new channel. It's fun growing a new channel and also serving this one. So I'm telling you right now, I will not devote more time to that channel than this one. That would be pretty silly considering I have over 1,000 subscribers here and I have 26 there. So, it's all about perspective. And basically part of it too is when I sit down and I start recording, it's what's on my mind. If my mind is on something I just saw on TV, like last night after Fear the Walking Dead, I'm going to do a video on that. If I read something in a hockey magazine or see something on TSN or Hockey News website, or I'm watching Sportsnet and something doesn't sit right with me and it's hockey related, video comes up here. So it's kind of cool having that. I just have to make sure I'm logged into the right account. I don't want to be uploading videos to the wrong channel. So I haven't made that mistake yet. Eventually it'll happen, but I haven't made that mistake yet. Anyways, thanks for watching. Chicago Blackhawks preview coming up soon. And it's fun getting through these because we're getting closer and closer to the season. Less than 50 days now until the hockey season starts. And between now and then, we have to have the World Cup tournament. There is one thing I will mention. On TSN's website, they have an article up stating, should Carey Price be playing in the World Cup? So they're looking at all these guys who are bowing out for injuries and saying, Carey Price hasn't played since November. Should he actually play in this World Cup? Some people disagreed with me when I said it. When I said this World Cup thing doesn't really matter. It would suck if you're a Montreal fan and Carey Price plays in this tournament and gets hurt in this cash grab tournament and he can't start the season in Montreal. Now TSN agrees with me. About a month later. So, it's not about being an expert with hockey things. It's about looking at perspective and realizing that these tournaments are largely forgotten as soon as they're done. Um, that's the only reason I can figure out why they're still using that ugly trophy, because it's basically the equivalent of the silence in Doctor Who. Unless you're looking directly at it, you forget just how ugly it is. As soon as you turn away, you forget all about it. It is the ugliest trophy in the history of sports. And that's saying a lot. There's some ugly trophies out there. But the World Cup trophy in hockey is an abomination. And that's what they're trying to win. And that's what Carey Price would risk his injuries on. And to me, it always looked like it was a pulled groin. And while that may seem like, well, that'd be easy enough to fix, if you're a goalie and you're relying on lateral movement back and forth, and you've got a groin muscle that's pulled, you can't play net. So you could walk around perfectly fine, you feel great, and as soon as you put on the pads and you try to play net, you're done. Luongo went through it for a year in Vancouver where he would feel okay and then go out on the ice and it just didn't happen. So it is something you have to be aware of. It's something that Carey Price, as a goaltender is going to have to keep an eye on, because even when you feel better with an injury like that, it can come back. It can. I know that anytime I saw Luongo in the butterfly and then get hit, I winced because I was like, "Oh God, it's gonna happen again. He's gonna be out for another 6 months." So there's a legitimate reason to keep Carey Price not on the bench, but at least keep him on a short leash. And it's because it's not like national pride's actually on the line here. Don't believe the Sportsnet commercials. The Sportsnet commercials just want to make sure you watch it and you buy the merchandise. But in terms of the actual real cost here, it could be major. It really could. I watched a preseason game for the Bengals last night, and I watched their two best players get injured in the first 5 minutes, and I was cursing the preseason. AJ Green, and it was something really minor. And without AJ Green, the Bengals are screwed. So, you can say, oh, well, you should. Of course, they play Price. He's the best goalie in Canada. Absolutely, the probably best goalie in the world. Carey Price is fantastic. And if you're a Montreal fan, you want to make sure he's good to go to start the season. You don't want him playing in this tournament and then getting hurt. Because then what? The tournament's over. Let's say Canada wins. And by the end of the tournament, everybody's hurt. So the winning goalie's Grant Fuhr. And then you go into the preseason and reality hits. So that tournament's done. We're in preseason and there's no Carey Price. But the Rangers if Lundqvist gets hurt. But Boston if Tuukka Rask gets hurt. I can say as a Bruins fan, the idea of having Hudobin and Subban as the goalies if Tuukka Rask got hurt, well, I could basically put Boston on the clock as the #1 draft pick this year, because that goaltending doesn't do anything except guarantee a shot at Nolan Patrick in the offseason. And again, for what? What is this tournament actually about? Because if it comes down to a final between Team North America and Sweden, who's watching that game? Oh, the kids will watch it. But in terms of casual viewers and bringing in eyeballs to the tournament that wouldn't normally be watching hockey, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't. So, anyways, that's my opinion. Mine alone. Not shared probably by very many others, but it is that. It is an opinion. And I will do the Chicago preview next. And I will talk to you all soon.